The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Trader's Edge with Steve Rhodes. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. The Trader's Edge. Now, Steve Rhodes.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the May 2nd, fantastic Friday edition of today's Trader's Edge Show. I'm your host, Stevie Perseverance Rhodes, who absolutely knows that each of us should always be pioneers of our future versus prisoners of our past. Hope everyone out there is having a great day. Hey, let's make sure we have an extraordinary one. Now, the easiest way to do that is to always remember that life is happening for us, not to us. That's right. When you and I make that one little 2x4 shift, it means we can find the gift in every set of circumstance that life is going to toss at us. Now, today, you and I, we're going to check on the circumstance of these markets. We'll go figure out what those bulls and bears, what those buyers and sellers are communicating to you and I at just past 8 o'clock in the morning. That's right. If you're listening live at 11:07, thanks so much for doing that. We're recording today's show. It's now 8:07, so we're going to be taking a look at what the futures markets are doing. We've got Jobs Friday, so we'll see how the markets respond. That's at 8:30 this morning, so plenty to look at. Of course, if you're listening live, I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email. Send it off to steve@tfnn.com. Inside the subject heading, please put radio show question. Of course, if you're inside our Tiger's Den, well, then any and every ping will do. So let's go ahead and get this show started on Fabulous Friday. Of course, this is Tiger Financial News Network. I'm Steve Rhodes. Welcome to the show. So at 8:08 in the morning, we got U.S. equity futures trading to the upside. S&P futures up 22 points, about 0.4%, 0.3 for the NASDAQ, or 62 points, 0.5% for the Dow, 197 points, about 1% for the Russell. That's a 17-point move there. In Asia last night, you had the Shanghai that was closed. You had the Hang Seng of 385 points. The Hang Seng, we'll take a look at their charts, negated a TD9 count top. So did the Nikkei. That says that it wants to trade higher. The FTSE does not have a topping pattern. That wants to trade higher. The DAX is very close to its all-time highs, not that far away, up 410 points. Remember, the DAX and the NASDAQ 100 typically trade. They've got a very strong directional correlation out there. Gold's up $48. It held support yesterday. We'll take a look at that profile support. Silver is up 9 pennies right now. Copper up 3 cents. Light sweet crude is off 74 cents. Natural gas is up 3 pennies out there. U.S. dollar index down 500 points. So let's start. Let's do this. Let's start. And then, when I do the show at 11 o'clock, I don't really get the chance to do this, but we're going to go start our day by taking a look at what's going on internationally. So we're going to change my screen here momentarily and put up 5 different charts. Change stream, see if this works. Screen. Here we go. So you should be looking at here momentarily. On the left-hand side, you see the Shanghai. And the Shanghai, as I mentioned last night, was closed for a holiday. It has a TD9 count topping pattern. In order to negate that signal, it's going to need to close above the high of 34.7143. Odds favor based upon the activity going on in Hong Kong, over in Japan, really what's going on in the UK, as well as Germany, that the Shanghai will go ahead and take that out. But, it still needs to potentially test that oscillator and change line at 34.31. But if you look at the Hang Seng last night, negated a TD9 count top, basically did it in, 3 or 4 sessions out there. That suggests it wants to make a run for the 24.237. 72 level. Now, there is an A to B equals CD pattern to the upside. It would look like this. The A point is going to be the low. That's the easiest thing. Then we're going to go to the B point. It happens to be labeled B on my screen. That's one of the Chapman wave labels out there, not necessarily the B point label. In this case, it is. And then we just simply go to take and we look at our next lowest low that takes place after that was the following day. So there's an A to B equals CD pattern. We get it up to the 23.201 area. Now, that retracement there, 3.82% retracement at best, so less than a 0.618. Odds favor you do more than a 1-to-1 A to B equals CD pattern on the upside. That's why I say 24,230 is a likely price target for the Hang Seng. In the case of the Nikkei, 37,359.95. That's already in its sights. That's its CD9 count breakdown level. You can see that it's a strong upward momentum move as price negated its TD9 count pattern that formed yesterday. If you take a look at the FTSE, it does not have a topping pattern. It's gunning for the 86.71.91 level. That's its TD9 count breakdown area. And if we take a look at the DAX also negated its TD9 count top yesterday, follow through today to the upside. It wants to go target its TD9 count top, and that's at the 23.204.59 level. But look, that gets us right into the swing point. It's all-time high from back on March the 18th. So that's really what the DAX is doing. It's gunning for its all-time highs out there with resistance at that 32.204.59 level. So important to understand what's going on internationally because, well, first of all, those folks that believe we're in a bear market have never really compared international charts to what's going on inside the U.S. And so the international charts are saying, I don't know what the heck you're thinking, that we're in some kind of bear market. In any event, we're just going to take a look at the charts one at a time. So let's go ahead and close these down. And now let's go take a look at, you know what I want to do is I want to put up the New York Stock Exchange while I've got this specific data feed going here. Now, when I'm referring to the New York Stock Exchange, I mean I want to take a look at what's going on with regard to the top. Since we just took a look at some international markets, I want to see what's going on with the top 100 international stocks inside the New York Stock Exchange, as well as the 100 U.S. stocks inside the New York Stock Exchange. So we've got both the daily and the time frame. The very left-hand panel is comparing the U.S. 100 to the NDX 100. You'll see strong directional correlation there. If we look at the U.S. 100, that's the second chart. You'll see the A to B equals CD pattern to the upside. Now, today is going to become, well, it's bar number 8 of a TD9 count. And so if the top 100 starts trading above 16,529.41, it will generate a potential TD9 count topping signal that would form by Tuesday of next week. So I want to keep an eye on that. If we take a look at the that's the daily time frame for it. If we look at the weekly time frame, it's got a price target of 16,612. And if price can close above that, that would be a super positive signal for the top 100 U.S. instruments within inside the New York Stock Exchange. The NYSE, the international, it's pretty close to its all-time highs. You can see by looking at the weekly time frame chart. It closed above its green oscillator and change last week. A green oscillator and change line tells us that we have a price oscillator above zero. When price is above that green line, it tells us we have a rising price oscillator above zero. Those are bullish conditions. Period. Now, when I say period, now that doesn't mean if you're forming a topping pattern, topping signal, but otherwise, short of that, and even in that case, it's still a bullish signal until proven otherwise. So the New York Stock is here. So this is just confirming what we looked at when we looked at negated TD9 count tops inside the Hang Seng, inside the Nikkei, inside the DAX. Out there. So in the case of the New York Stock Exchange, the International 100 wants to go target the 79.84 level out there. Let's go take a quick peek here at currencies, at the U.S. dollar index, the components that make that up. Let's take a look at this here. So the euro's got a 57% weighting. You can see it's got a nice TD9 count topping pattern. Odds favor, it's going to go target the 109 level. If it does that and it trades lower, the U.S. dollar index is going to get stronger. In the case of the Japanese yen, it does have an A to B equals CD pattern on the upside. If a bearish reversal candle were to form, it would generate a sell to D point. You've got a no topping pattern inside the Great British Pound, but it's lost its momentum trading below that green oscillator and change line. So it may want to head lower. Canadian loony's got a TD9 count bottom. Here, when you get to the U.S. dollar index, you'll see it's nothing more than a sideways trade with inside profile levels. Steve Rhodes with TFNN. We'll be right back.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstad's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstad releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Welcome back, folks. So it's 8:18 in the morning. If you're listening live, thanks so much for doing that. If you are listening, listening in the recorded time frame at 11:18, thank you for doing that as well. We're taking a look at the U.S. equity futures at the moment. The daily contracts out here. And what we see is A to B equals CD patterns to the upside. The ES Mini is trading inside its sell zone. So this is an area here where you've got a number of sellers, and they exist between 55.85 and 57.73. The A to B equals CD pattern would take price above the 57.73, that resistance level out there. Now, what we want to watch for today is if we spike above yesterday's high, then we're going to trigger bar number 8 of a TD9 count pattern. That says you could get a short-term topping pattern between today and Tuesday out there. We'll take things one step at a time with the A to B equals CD pattern in place out there with price trading inside that sell zone. I think it still wants to trade higher. And the reason why I think that is because of the NQ. The NQ closed above the top of its daily profile, and that was a bear structured profile out there. So also a sell zone like the ES Mini has. We're still trading above that. Now it could also, it's got an A to B equals CD pattern on the upside, gets us to about the 2,700-ish level out there, 600 level out there. It also, if it spikes above yesterday's high, will form bar number 8 of a TD9 count pattern. So we'll want to watch that. Now, the Dow equity future contract is a day behind with regard to its TD9 count pattern out there. So it may go and form one, but that would be by next Wednesday. It does not have an A to B equals CD pattern to the upside, not this moment. But if we do close above the swing point, that's labeled A on my screen out here from April the 10th, and that high is 41,140. That would then trigger an A to B equals CD pattern to the upside. In the case of the Russell 2000, the Russell 2000 is going to go ahead and form a TD9 count top today as long as price closes above the close of bar number 5. And the close of bar number 5 is 1971.90. So you're going to watch at 1971.90. Now, they will form that TD9 count top today. The pattern itself would complete on Monday out there. So that's what's going on. As far as we've got the 10 minutes from now, we've got the day trading. We've got the jobs numbers coming out. And so the question is, are they going to move the markets out there, or are there any tells? So I'm going to go ahead and put up the intraday charts here. I happen to have wheat up right now. It looks like wheat, this is the July contract. Wheat completed a TD9 count bottom pattern yesterday, trading above its oscillator and change line right now at 536.21. So it looks like wheat, in fact, has bottom. Now, its next test is going to be at the 644 level. That's the 5-hour TD9 count breakdown area. That could be a resistance area. Price would then perhaps pull back, but it looks like we just bottomed. But let's go take a look at the NQ specifically right now, because the NQ is basically, it would appear, leading the charts to the upside. So we want to go out here and take a look at the intraday charts and see what kind of signals we have. Is there any kind of tell in the intraday charts with regard to how the market might respond? Earlier this morning, the answer was no. When I took a look at the NQ. So even on the 15-minute time frame chart, I don't have a bottoming pattern. That doesn't mean that it hasn't bottomed, because if we take a look at the daily time frame, yesterday's low was 19,757. This morning's low so far was 19,749. So we've tested that low and we've rejected it. As far as topping patterns, though, and so what you'd want to be watching for, if you take a look at the top row of charts, 5-hour, 4-hour, 2-hour charts, each of them have topping patterns. You have Rhodes Momentum Indicator tops for the 5-hour chart. Its key level of support, 19,716. In the case of the 240-minute time frame chart, also Rhodes Momentum Indicator top, but where a counter trend move would come to an end would be between 19,518 and 19,593 on a pullback and a retracement. In the case of the 2-hour time frame chart, it just needs a close above its TD9 count high, and that number is going to be 20,035.75 out there. So no real tells that I see at this moment in time. Let's do this. We have one request so far, and that's from Jack. Inside the Tiger's Den. And Jack wants to take a look. He's got a position in the XLI, the industrial sector out here. So let's pull that up on our screen. And Jack says, I've got a positive position in XLI. Looks like it will top at least temporarily over the next couple of days. How would you play it? So I'm thinking what Jack is looking at is he's looking at the fact that we formed bar number 7 yesterday. Let's see where let's simply see where the XLI is trading in the pre-market. If you give me a moment, we'll get over to a screen that can show us that. So that'll be right here. And let me put in the XLI. And it's that yellow colored area that's got time and price. So 132.90 basically is where it's trading. We closed at 132.21. The high from yesterday was 133.16. So 133.16 is going to be a key number. Really, 133.17 is going to be a key number. If we tick above that, and then you'll have a bar number 8 of a TD9 count. And that says that the TD9 count top could form between today and Tuesday of next week. There's an A to B equals CD pattern that is underway out here. If we take a look at the B point, that's the trading session from April the 14th. Volume, it was 8 million shares. When it was passed with 7 million shares, 5 million shares, 6 million shares, 5 million shares yesterday, or 7 million shares 2 days ago. Yesterday we had 9 million shares. So there's your confirmation with volume to the upside. So you've got a price projection, a 1-to-1 price projection around 136.22. Your question is, how would I play this? So you're asking, would you put your stop all the way down at 127.17 because of a TD9? Now that number is going to change. That oscillator and change number is going to change out here. It's priced, today and obviously on Monday. But what we do, should you get a topping pattern out there, like a TD9 count top, maybe a solid D point top. We don't know which is going to form, if either is going to form at this moment in time. But to go from 132 to 127, I don't know where you're in on this. If we look at the weekly time frame chart, what's the weekly time frame chart show us? It shows us you've got a nice TD9 count bottom pattern. Price right now is taken on its green oscillator and change line. A close today above 131.68 would be bullish. Price is taking on a resistance zone. That happens to be the center of its profile at 132.66. This is just a slightly bearish structured profile. So sellers existing between 132.66 and 137.64. The monthly time frame chart, which had a sell the D point top, found support at the bottom of its profile, 121.70. So the work to the downside may in fact be done there. Your question is how to play it. I would first understand the average true range out there. So let's do that. Let's understand that number here. So let's pull up the XLI again. Let's get over to this set of charts here. And on this set of charts here for XLI, it's going to give me at the bottom panel what the average 10-day range is. And that's $3.25. So, if you're trying to play some type of trailing stop, it needs to be outside of $3.25. In other words, $3.25 on the last 10 days is the average price movement out there. So if you're going to place a stop that's within inside the $3.25, I say then you just take your profits. So you would have to have a stop outside of that. Whether it would be down at that oscillator and change line or not, that's a call that you've got to make. And then you've got to consider the longer term position out here. So we have been trading in the XLI higher for 4 consecutive days. Today would be day number 5 out there. So that in itself is suggesting we might get a retracement. So that's what I see, Jack, when I take a look at the XLI. I hope that helps you out. GDX is typed in here by ELO. Let's see if we can get these charts here populated before we go to a break, which we'll close out here in about 35 seconds. So the GDX yesterday pulled back and tested profile support at $47. It also formed bar number 8 of a TD9 count. Now, in order to form a TD9 count bottom pattern today, the GDX is going to need to close below 49.43 yellow, 49.43. So if you close below that, if you in fact got a TD9 count bottom on the daily time frame for the GDX. Steve Rhodes with TFNN. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
This portion of the Tiger Technicians Hour is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Welcome back, folks. So we got the April non-farm payrolls out, 177,000 jobs versus the estimate of 133,000. We're taking a look to see what kind of changes, if anything. I haven't seen anything significant. You still got equity futures trading up, trading about where they were. The Dow futures looks like they've jumped a bit. They're up 357 points right now. Gold, there really hasn't changed that much, up $37, 10 cents for silver out there. So we'll continue to monitor this. In fact, let's do this here. Let's go take a Goldilocks. As you know, I've been blowing a horn that says be very careful out there. Now, what gold did yesterday, so gold has a topping pattern for the daily, weekly, and monthly time frame. The daily time frame is got a Rhodes Momentum Indicator top that was confirmed with a three-river evening star candle formation. What price did yesterday was it tested and it rejected profile support at 32.25 out there. If we do see a close below 32.25, the next price target of the downside is going to be 31.95. Now, today, we're going to get a TD9 count top for the weekly time frame. In order to do that, all price needs to do, and it looks like we're going to be able to do that easily, is close above 30.35.40. Now, the TD9 count top for the weekly time frame will complete next week out there. I believe it's already completed, primarily because, or at least the high. I don't think that high is going to get poked above 3,500 because we have a monthly time frame chart that has already completed. So we had the end of the month a couple of days ago, April 30th. That was a completion of a monthly TD9 count top. That suggests at a minimum that price will pull back towards its oscillator and change line, currently printed at 29.92. I suspect if price pulls back, it'll be more like 28.66 would be a downside target. When we take a look at the very bottom panel of this screen, the bottom panel of the screen is identifying consecutive months to the upside and consecutive months to the downside. Downside being red, upside being black digits. You can see that what we completed on the month of April was a 4-bar move to the upside. Last time we did a 4-bar move was when we had a nice little short-term top back in October. And what do? We move lower for 2 months. So it appears that the pattern that is set up at this moment in time for gold is a pullback for a couple of months. And that would really take us back really to those GDX charts out there. So we were looking at the GDX before we went to the break. In the case of the GDX, what I've got is a weekly sell the D point top. And so if price fails at the 47 level, closes below it, or a TD9 count forms and then price fails, that would then suggest on the daily time frame price pulling back to the 40.19 level. The weekly time frame, it has support at about 46.10. That's its green oscillator and change line and the top of its weekly box. If price were to close below that, then that brings into the area between 39.42 and 41.09. So it certainly gets you in that 40.19 range out there that we took a look at on the daily time frame. And the monthly chart, I do not have any kind of a topping pattern. So what this tells me with regard to the GDX and its correlation with regard to gold is that we to expect to anticipate that gold hasn't topped out completely. But, we got to be careful because of the monthly TD9 count pattern. But more likely than not, what I think the GDX chart is communicating to us is that expect a retracement of pullback. Maybe it's going to be a 2-month pullback inside of gold. And then maybe at that point in time, that's when everybody will be saying that's over and it's toast. And, of course, you and I will know, hey, that's just kind of a normal price movement, a 2-month movement to the downside there. No reason to freak out, so to speak. Let's also take a look at Apple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the charts here to populate, but I want to see where Apple is trading at. So I'm going to need to pull my e-signal system back up, and that's what we'll see. We'll get over to this chart here, where we were looking at the XLI, which is now 133.44. So I think that gets you above the yesterday's high. But AAPL out with numbers yesterday. Last trade fired off at 206.77. So what's 206.77 do for Apple? 206.77 gets us back inside its daily profile. but still above its red oscillator and change line. So not really a big deal there, at least at this stage of the game. Now, if price were to close below, and that's Apple we're talking about, 202.13 or thereabouts, then we would suggest that price would pull back to the 174.85 to 186.13 area. If price ends the day back above 208.70, the top of its daily profile will have held. Heck, for all I know, Apple could trade higher and go on and form a TD9 count top between today and Tuesday of next week. But we have to take this one step at a time. A close today below the close of bar number 4, that's 210.14, will negate the TD9 count topping signal altogether out there. On a weekly time frame, we had Apple form a Gartley buy pattern. It did that last week when it formed that bullish piercing candle. Price is trading with inside its profile that has support at 185.37. You got a slight resistance area about 217.68. That's its red oscillator and change line in the center of the profile. Any move above that, and we're off to 241.92. The monthly time frame chart that had a TD9 count top did a perfect job of pulling right back to its breakout level at 169.11. Held that, and we're trading above the top of that monthly profile out there. So that's what's going on with regard to Apple. Nothing really of significant that I see to the downside. Why don't we usually get requests to take a look at NVIDIA, so let's go ahead and put NVIDIA up on our screen out here. In fact, we'll go take a look and see what NVIDIA is trading into. So let me go back and forth here. Let me get my e-signal system out here. Let's put up NVIDIA, see what it is doing. NVIDIA's last trade firing off at 113.47. So that's going to get us above yesterday's, 114.94 is yesterday's high. So price is gunning for that. Let's go back to these NVIDIA charts here. So what do we have? If we get a close above, key number here is really 115.10. If NVIDIA were to close above 115.10, it will trigger a daily A to B equals CD pattern to the upside. You know, with the way that the DAX is trading with regard to the way that the international markets have traded, I'll be really surprised if we don't continue its rally and trade higher. In fact, we probably should take a look at the DAX. I believe it was up towards its session high, but we'll take a look at its print. So if we do get a close above the high from April the 9th out there, again, that's 115.10, you'll trigger an A to B equals CD pattern on the upside that'll get you to 123.64. Now, it's got a resistance meeting. It's already at the resistance meeting on the top of its profile. That's what it dealt with yesterday at 112.87. The next resistance meeting would be up at 118.84. So if you close above that, that'll get you to your A to B equals CD pattern on the upside. The weekly time frame says I'm gunning for the 118.27 level. If you can close above that, you're off to 128.20. And the monthly time frame chart for NVIDIA is back inside its profile. And as long as it holds 109.42, that would be a very positive thing out there. So we come back to this break. We'll take a look at, if there's a request, we'll take a look at that. If not, we'll go to maybe those intraday charts here for the ES Mini. I think we only took a look at the NQ. So I'll get those charts fired up for us when we get back to this break. Steve Rhodes.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter, a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
For traders who crave risk, Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs provide opportunities to magnify short-term perspectives with up to 3 times a daily leverage, utilize bull and bear funds from both sides of the trade, and trade through rapidly changing markets. These are highly leveraged ETFs with daily resetting designed for short-term trading, not long-term investing. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the Direxion. For up-to-date pricing and performance, go to Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. It is 8:42 in the morning. If you listen to 11:42, thanks so much for doing that. We'll be back to normal programming next week on Monday out there. And we're looking at the ES Mini. So whereas in the NQ, we had all kinds of topping patterns across the top time frame chart, we didn't have that, or we don't have that for the ES Mini. And but what we can learn as far as the spike high that we've seen after the jobs report, and we're trying to understand why did price at least at this stage, why did price stop where it did? Well, that's really the help that helps us to understand what's going on intraday and using those TAS market profiles. So, for example, if you look at the 120-minute time frame chart, you will see that the top of its profile, that's where sellers reside, is at 56.74. Now, we've ticked above that. We got up to a high of 56.80, but you can see the sellers are, trying to exert their energy. On the 5-hour time frame chart, you've got sellers lurking at 55.69. So another level to watch. The 60-minute time frame chart, bearish structured profile. So you got sellers that reside between 56.66 and 56.45. That's where the battle is. So that's what you're going to be watching throughout the day. It may be 11.43 and price is trading above those levels. And if that's the case, then price is going to go target 57.73. That's the top of its daily profile. Again, we are in a sell zone out here. We may get that TD9 count pattern that forms between today and Tuesday. Does that mean that then we would have a sell in May cycle? Well, it's possible. Now, the typical average seasonal sell in May tops out on May 7th. I think May 7th is what? Next 2 days after Cinco de Mayo. See how smart I am? May 7th is next Wednesday. So on Wednesday, so it's possible that we could see that short-term top, but maybe it's just short-term. Why would it maybe just be short-term? And the reason would be because I think more likely than not what's taking place is that the S&P 500 is following the post-election seasonal cycle. And the reason is because on average over a 97-year period, that would be 25 years that we'd be taking a look at, presidential cycles, that is, that the over that average on April 7th is when the S&P 500 bottoms. Well, the entire market bottomed on April 7th out there, and it may be a significant bottom. But the reason why I say that even the sell in May cycle here gives you a short-term top, May 6th, May 7th, and then it's just a short-term pullback. And maybe it's a 1-week pullback. Maybe it's a 4-day pullback, 4 sessions out there before prices resume higher. And during the presidential, the post-election election cycle, I should say, the market doesn't typically top out until August. So we could really see the S&P and the markets rally into that August time frame out there. Let's go to our next a request that has come in, and that's to take a look at Amazon for Dano inside the Tiger's Den. So let's pull up that chart, let those things here populate. AMZN is the ticker symbol. I'm going to go, just while this is populating, I'm going to go check and see where Amazon is trading in the pre-market out here. AMZN, last trade here, firing off at 192, basically 192.10 or so. So 192.10 would take it above the top of its daily profile. So 190.2022, 190.2022. Is where price closed yesterday, which was above the top of its profile. A second close above that today is a profile change in trend for Amazon. So where would Amazon be headed next? I would say what Amazon would be headed next is around the 199.17 to 202.39 level. That it has a nice TD9 count bottom on the weekly time frame, and as long as price is able to close above the center of its profile, which is 190.68, so if you get that today, that's going to increase the odds, Dano, of a move up to the 199.17, 202.39. Now, I'm not saying that's where it stops. Definitely not saying that. I'm just saying that is where the next price target would be. That's where the sellers are located at. And so that's what I see with regard to Amazon. Looks good. You're in from 175. I would stay. By the way, your profile support is 180.25. So if you don't have a stop, you probably should have a stop in place, and it should be below that, or should be just below that 180.25. I'd use that swing point out here from April 30th, and that low is 178.85. Now you're at 175. I don't know if you want to take that kind of pressure or not, but that, the daily time frame looks good. You've got the numbers to be watching during the day out there, so I do hope that helps you out. Dan wants to take a look at Boulder Dash. BWLP is the ticker symbol. Let me go see what that is trading at in the pre-market here. BWLP. In fact, this is going to help us to see what it is. BWLP. This is firing off at 1040. This is BWLPG Limited out there. Closed yesterday at 1010. The top of its daily profile, Dan, is 1042. Let's go take a look at those charts out here with my white background system. So it's got a nice daily TD9 count bottom. A pattern out there. Profile change in trend. Again, if it closes above, because you already have an A to B equals CD pattern to the upside. If you close above, but you could get a new one that would form a close today above 1055. That's the high from April 25th. That would trigger a new A to B equals CD. I'm not going to draw it in there because the price target may extend beyond the next area of resistance. Again, that's assuming price closes above 1042 today. The next area of resistance, Dan, would be 1185 on the weekly time frame. I'm sorry, the daily time frame. That's its TD9 count breakdown level. On the weekly time frame, you'd love to see price close above its oscillator and change line. That's where it's sitting at right now at the 1010 level. And so what you'd really like to see, because price was below the bottom of its bullish structured weekly profile for more than 2 consecutive sessions. What you really want to see out here is a close above 1070. If price closes above 1070 today, that says that this is not a counter trend move to the upside, and instead that price would go tackle 1224. So you'd have 1185, 1224. This is all under the assumption right now that price is going to close above 1042, and I don't know if that's the case or not. But if it does, that's what you've got. Now, on a monthly time frame, you may have a TD9 count bottom where price got back towards its breakout level at 704. The reason I say may is because we're in bar number 8, and that was the low of the pattern, so that can be the TD9 count bottom, but we still need bar number 9 to form. In order for that to unfold out here, what you need to see at the end of the month is a close below 1345. So that's what I see when I take a look at BWLP. Dan, thanks for the request. I hope that helps you out. Let's see here. Music to yours. That's good. Did good adding at the TD9 lows. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Is it not? It's not a cool pattern. Look, not every pattern works out there, but what it does is it just increases your probability, right, of a time to come in or add to a position, or so really just a cool and a great pattern out there. I don't think there's any other requests. Although let me just check the email system. No, nothing on the emails. What do we want to take a look at next? What do we want to take? Let's go back. No. Yeah, I need some help from you, debtors. That's okay. We'll come up with something. Let's take a look at. Let's see what's going on with silver. Wolf. Is that so? You want, okay, so let's go take a look at something that somebody actually wants to look at. So we're going to take a look at the Wolf Man when we come back from this break. Steve Rhodes with TFNN.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento, a pro's pro with over 50 years of experience. Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening Call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
Welcome back, folks. We're taking a ticker symbol WOLF, W-O-L-F. It completed a TD9 count topping pattern yesterday. It was bar number 8 that identified the high. Price is trading with inside its daily profile. The daily profile's got support at 250. It has resistance at 446 out there. So price may be pulling back. Now, it tested the center of its profile yesterday, 324. So not clear if that was the bottom or not out there. Of course, closing above the high from 3 days ago, that TD9 count, would negate that signal, and that would be a bullish outcome. What we don't have on the weekly time frame is any kind of a bullish bottom signal out here. What we do have is it looks like this is going to be the third week in a row to the upside. If we take a look at all of its past rallies out here, let me open up the weekly time frame chart for you, Dan. or whoever threw that number out, I think it was Dan. If we take a look at ever since July 14th of 2023, so quite a while out there. So we're talking about 2 years, basically. You've only had 2 bar moves to the upside. So if, in fact, today we close above $3.27. We're at $3.60 right now. I believe we were maybe $3.80 in the pre-market. But as long as we close above that high, you're going to have the third consecutive week to the upside. Now, well, that's a positive. But the last time we had a third week out there, then we started moving to the downside. So with that daily TD9 count topping signal out there, what that really could be suggesting, Dan, is price going to pull back towards the 215, 250, 267 type area out there. So that's what I see when we take a look at WLF. So just really quickly to close out the show today, if I take a look at the kind of my 9-panel market update chart, the ES Mini likely going to go target 57.73, likely to form a TD9 count top between today and Tuesday. The spot VIX index looks like it wants to move down towards 1816. That's the lower Bollinger Band. That'll put energy into the S&P 500. The NQ wants to rally up towards the 2626 level. That's its A to B equals CD target. The U.S. dollar index just consolidating with inside profile. So is gold. Silver is traded above profile resistance, but you can see a descending trend line. So that's the summary, folks. Stay tuned. Tommy O'Brien is up next. Stay tuned for all the good programming. Have a fantastic weekend, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Take care.